Skywatchers, and welcome to the sky above us. I'm James Albury, and I'm your tour guide to the night sky. I've been waiting 8 years to record this episode because we have an extremely rare astronomical event happening this month, and it's one that you don't want to miss. What am I talking about? Let me show you. Jupiter and Saturn are the largest planets in our solar system, and they've captured the imagination of skywatchers for centuries. We've sent numerous spacecraft to explore them, and together they make up over 80% of the solar system's planetary mass. So, let me tell you more about them. Jupiter has been observed in the sky since antiquity. The ancient Romans named it after the king of their gods, whom the Greeks referred to as Zeus. Babylonian astronomers have records of Jupiter dating back to the 7th century BC, and in 1610, Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei studied Jupiter using a telescope and is credited with the discovering of 4 large moons of Jupiter: Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. So far, we've found 79 moons orbiting Jupiter, and for years, Jupiter has held the title of planet with the most known moons. Well, that all changed not too long ago when Saturn captured the title. Saturn has 82 moons and a spectacular ring system. The rings of Saturn were first observed by Galileo as well, but the resolving power of his telescope wasn't good enough for him to see the rings clearly. So, for lack of a better description, Galileo said that Saturn looked like it had ears. About 40 years later, Christian Huygens and Giovanni Cassini observed that Saturn's ears were actually a ring system. And those rings aren't solid. They're actually made of billions of particles believed to be the remains of a moon that came too close to Saturn and broke apart, or several moons that collided and their debris was scattered into a ring system over 100,000 miles in diameter. It takes Jupiter almost 12 years to orbit the Sun, while it takes Saturn almost 30 years to do so. Therefore, every 19 years, Jupiter and Saturn are on the same side of the Sun. When they do that, it's possible for us to see them next to each other in the sky. When planets appear near each other in the sky, we call that a conjunction. Since the orbits of the planets tend to be inclined at an angle to each other, their apparent distance from each other can vary from one conjunction to the next. Furthermore, the apparent positions of the planets with respect to each other can differ depending on where Earth is in the solar system at the time. 2020 has been an unusual year, and sure enough, we're going to be in a position to see Jupiter and Saturn so close to each other in the sky that you'll be able to see them in the same telescopic field of view. Let me show you. Okay, we have our sky set to December 1st, shortly after sunset at around 6 p.m., facing southwest. During the next 3 weeks, 2 amazing things will be happening. First, as the Earth orbits the Sun, the stars will appear to rise 4 minutes earlier each night, and Jupiter and Saturn will appear to set almost 4 minutes earlier each evening. Secondly, because of this motion of the Earth and the orbital motion of Jupiter, Jupiter and Saturn will appear to get closer and closer each night. Let's check it out. Here's where they'll be at 6 p.m. on December 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Not much change in their position with respect to each other, but you can tell they're getting closer to the horizon each night. Let's jump forward 3 days at a time now to the 10th, 13th, and then 16th, and a 2-day-old waxing crescent moon joins the party. Here's where things get exciting. If you ever saw episodes of the PBS TV series Stargazers, Dean Regas and I would often talk about conjunctions, and when they were particularly exciting, I would spontaneously start dancing. I'll be dancing all month.
So, happy 2018 and happy stargazing.
Well, we'll all have a reason to dance during the week of December 18th because Jupiter and Saturn will begin what we call a great conjunction. On December 18th, Jupiter and Saturn will be less than a half full moon width apart. And it gets better. Here they are on the 19th, 20th, And finally, on the winter solstice, December 21st, they are only 1/10 of a degree apart. This is the closest Jupiter and Saturn have appeared in the sky from Earth since 1623 AD, and they won't be this close again until March 15th of 2080. Since I probably won't be alive to see that one, I'm going to get jiggy with this one. Cue the music. That was fun. All right, my friends, watch Jupiter and Saturn get super close this month for their great conjunction on December 21st. And if you'd like to support our program, click on the Patreon link in the description, and you could qualify for autographed The Sky Above Us memorabilia, and you could see your name in the credits of our next episode. Planetary conjunctions are amazing, especially when you remember to keep looking up.